Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 208. I had to get my tea ready, and I was having an interesting conversation with someone on Twitter, which made me just a few minutes late. But I'm here now, so welcome all of you. And wow, a lot of you. Let me scroll back through the comments here. Is it better if I give you guys something to look at while the comments are going? Matter of fact, feels like I should put my head somewhere else. So I'm really small, so we go here. Whoops. I screw that up every now and then. Stop. Let go. There we go. I don't like it gets like grabby. And then we put me right here so it overlays. There. Well, I got all the comments. I think it's better if everyone can read the comments, right? I don't know. Smash the like button. Do that while I'm reading comments. Happy Thursday. All right, look at all these people. Finally scored a couple of interviews. Awesome. That's good to hear. I'm assuming you're talking about tech jobs, so yay. I haven't good conversation. Seeing more of you join. YouTube is on. We got Grayson, Simon, Mac Telecom Networks. Rip the Chromecast. Yes, it was. I don't know what it was doing. It's happier now. Old York in the UK. Yes. Sound problems? It looks like it's working. Is there a sound problem I'm unaware of? Can you hear me? Tap, tap. I don't want to hit the microphone. Someone with headphones on will lose their stuff. So, am I wrong, or did you already talk about WhatsApp? I don't talk about WhatsApp because I don't use WhatsApp. So I'm not sure. WhatsApp is probably not my favorite topic because I don't know anything about it. I don't have a use case for it. Like, the history of WhatsApp is fascinating to me. Like, the story of building it and selling it is interesting, but there's not a reason for me to use it. And what made it interesting is that when Facebook bought it and they paid so much for WhatsApp, which seemed like a lot of money because I believe at the time of purchase, which was in the billions, somewhere along 17 billion. I'm pulling this out of thin air, not Google. My hands off the keyboard. I'm answering live questions out of my own memory. But yes, they purchased them, and it was interesting because they bought them based on their user base, and the justification Mark gave to the board was it costs X dollars per acquisition of new user. And they took the cost of acquisition per user, multiplied that times the users of WhatsApp, and figured by buying the platform, their evaluation would stand, because you got to remember, Facebook's publicly traded, so they can't just willy-nilly buy things without approval. You have to give justification. And I thought it was such a simplistic thing, but it also gave us insight into the cost of acquisition that Facebook puts on acquiring each person and then sticks a value on each person that they acquire. So that was why they bought it, and of course then exited. So anyways, yeah, I don't do WhatsApp ones because I did tweet about WhatsApp, change your privacy policy, and hi, all my new friends on Signal. So Minecast did get their security certificate compromised. They haven't given a lot of other details. We don't know what exactly happened, but having a security certificate compromised is big stuff. Because then they can decrypt all the traffic that security certificate was authoritative for. That's an issue, a big issue. So anyways, yeah. Let's see. Yes, I seem annoyed by Google. I'm amused. Annoyed to be the wrong term. If I didn't want a search system to suggest things, I wouldn't use Google. Here's the thing. The whole Google versus other things. There are times in my life when I like the suggested things that Google brings about, the information that they will bring. There's times I do not like the information that they may bring me. So there are times when I use Google, there are times when I don't. The biggest thing I preach when it comes to privacy is awareness of where your data is going, awareness that they are collecting data. Once you have an understanding and you use it in the way you want. So if I want to look up something, but I don't want the data collected on that, I do it differently than if I don't care. Like, for example, when I'm looking up a deal on the best price on memory, it was one of those silly things that where a Facebook ad nailed it. I was, a while ago when I was building something, I'm like, hey, look, there's memory on sale, because I searched for it in Google, and a Facebook ad from a targeted ad that came from something I searched gave me a deal. That's advertising in action and benefiting me. I've found things, bicycle parts or motorcycle accessories, that I got discounts on because the ad targeting system worked. I don't mind searching for those. There are other times I do not want them to know what I'm searching. That's when you switch to private versions of Tom that don't exist on the internet. So it's one of the things you just kind of think about it. Have I done a video? I did Cockpit. I haven't touched it in a while. Unless I'm wrong, they didn't. I don't know if there's been any major changes to Cockpit. I'm sure there's been some incremental ones, but I don't use it that often. I brought it up just to kind of show people it's a kind of neat admin tool to use for Linux, but it's not something I use all the time. I'm more of a command line person, but I do realize the web interface has a lot of value, especially for people who do part-time administration. We'd set it up for someone, or I'd set it up to help someone out, and then I kind of said, this is neat. And it's kind of like WebMin, but a little bit different. And I don't know. I don't know if I'll revisit it or not, especially because it's very heavy. I'm a big Debian and Ubuntu person. I'm not as much a Red Hat, and no one's a CentOS person anymore. Thanks, Red Hat. So I don't dive deep into it. It had way more features on the Red Hat side than it did on there. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll revisit it or not. Why is the UDMP plugged in? Pretty much it's plugged in because I wanted to be disappointed. I wanted to be disappointed again. That's really my reason for plugging it in. I wanted to refresh myself. Thank you for everyone that does hire us, but they wanted to hire me for some help with the UDM. So I went through the rules because it had been so long since I went through them. I want to make sure I'm familiar with something. And the person was disappointed in the features of the UDM too. I wanted to verify the things I thought didn't work, didn't get fixed in a feature update, and they didn't. So yes. You like my tea cup? It's got tea in it, not coffee, but yes, thank you. For younger folk, there's a lot of young people I meet all the time that are quite good at Linux. There is I don't know, a lot of the people seem, especially in my one foot's in the MSP space, and the MSP space is definitely full of Windows lovers. You get flamed for not using Windows in the Windows loving space, and those people would not believe, I don't know. It's weird. So, my friend Phil, who's been on this channel, works for the Linux Foundation. Phil's quite young, quite big. There's an age gap between us, and Phil's a developer and a site reliability engineer at Let's Encrypt. That's his title right now, working for the Linux Foundation. So you're talking about someone who is younger than me and is quite into Linux. I have several friends like that who are quite into Linux and are in their 20s. So I don't know that it's really an age gap thing. It's just about what they chose to go into. If they just did some boring corporate job, they probably just like Windows, and as simple as that. But if they didn't, or my cybersecurity, Xavier's a good example. Xavier's not even 30, for those of you that didn't know. He's someone in his 20s who's a developer and very much a Linux user and advocate. So there's I don't think there's necessarily an age gap. It's just some people never wanted to get into doing things in scripting or command line or any type of programming. And then there's the rest of us. Syncing iOS devices. I have no idea. I don't use any iOS devices. Well, a lot of Windows is dominant in the SMB market for sure. It's funny if I think we're just going to keep seeing more. I don't know. Maybe I think the open source movement has so become embedded and going to be more important after the incident with SolarWinds, of course, that more and more people are looking for how can I have. You want to reduce your threat surface. This is a cybersecurity general rule. What can you do to reduce your threat surface? Well, supply chain is a piece of that threat model. What can we do to reduce the potential threat in a supply chain? You take a well-vetted and popular open source project that has a lot of people dedicated to its security. You will then eliminate the potential. You will lessen it. You won't eliminate. Eliminate's too strong of a word. You will lessen the potential for an injection in that particular supply chain of the SolarWinds type. And obviously, feel free. I'm aware that people tag me in Twitter and message me, hey, did you know SolarWinds did a article about how open source is not as secure? Really? Yeah, I know. Everyone shared that with me. I was aware of it because I had some internal discussions. As you know, I've been on webinars with executives at SolarWinds and things like that. So I have, off camera, certainly brought that up to them of how I disagree wholeheartedly with them. But I could not bring it up in a video because it wasn't. Well, I'm not there to just. They invite me on for a video. I speak and talk about things in the video. It goes out of scope of what the videos was about. But yes, I brought that up to people at SolarWinds. I have not bothered bringing it up because I haven't really been talking to anyone since the incident, but, they know where I stand on it. I made my statement clear. Let's see. As for the name used for Windows for workstations, Linux for servers, it varies. It's all about what fits what needs to be done. Majority of our small business people are going to run Linux on both the server side and Linux for the desktop. That's what fits for many of our clients. It's not people think of everything in one or the other, like as if the solutions are as binary as the code that runs on them, and it is not. It is far from it. We look at the situation of each client and evaluate what would be the solution that fits. It's not a binary decision. It's not Linux, or it might be all Windows. It might be all Linux. It can be a hybrid. More often than not, though, with the small business, you're definitely going to see mostly Windows solutions. As a matter of fact, mostly cloud solutions now are becoming all the rage. It's what all the kids are doing these days. The cloud solutions are because that's the most cost-effective way for a business. They don't have to manage internal servers or equipment. They can have a fixed cost without the potential, essentially, for the infrastructure setup and backups and everything else. They just go, I can just control it over here in the cloud, pay X dollars per month. And when you're running a business, having a fixed cost for your technology budget per se can be really good. And someone's like, well, we're an MSP and we give them a fixed cost. I'm like, yeah, your fixed per seat cost is probably a lot higher to manage internal equipment than if they use just a bunch of cloud applications. It does reduce costs in a lot of situations. Not every, once again, it's not a binary solution. It's a solution that you figure out what fits each client. Yeah, UniFi data breach, did a video on it. People said I was dismissive. Someone said I was a press release, like for positivity, or I forget how they worded it. I laughed. I'm like, I'm jaded. I won't lie. There's times I'm like, another company had a data breach? What is it, Thursday? I mean, this is just something that happens all the time. Could it have been handled better? At least it was handled, all right? We go back, and this is where I'm a little bit defending, I guess. We go back not that long ago, companies didn't even tell us. We would just go, how's all my data getting on the dark web? How'd that get there? I wonder. Now we'd have to figure out who did it. Now the companies go, oh yeah, that happened. Look at the breach that happened. Was it Uber? I think was it 3 years later disclosed their breach? The fact that UniFi disclosed it means we've leveled up the improvement. The fact that they didn't do it with perfect grammar, I mean, really? That's the problem? Was the grammar? I mean, sure. Imperfect grammar sometimes is a suspicion point for a phishing attack, but I'm at least like happy they disclosed it. All right, they didn't hide it. It sounds like it's a third-party vendor. We don't know a lot. There's not a lot to go on here. I did the video to raise awareness, and I just said, hey, reset your password. And the reset your 2FA, I did laugh. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on anyone, but someone did say, well, my 2FA resets every 30 seconds. I'm like, no, reset the token. And I guess I didn't come across clear enough that I don't know for sure if they compromised the tokens, but due to the vagueness of the way UniFi said it, I don't know if they did or not. So they're not hard to reset. You disable it, and then you can enable it and reset your two-factor. It's pretty straightforward. I even pointed out that Krebs had a little quick work instruction and referred to it in my video, and that seemed to be a confusing point. So would you walk through a Puppet server? Well, if I use Puppet, I would, but I don't use Puppet, so no. I've had a few people want me to do Python videos, and my suggestions were to Learn Linux TV because he does Python. I am not a Python teacher, so I can muddle my way through it to get something to work, but I certainly could not write a Python project competently, I should say. I mean, I could write anything, but not competently. Therefore, I don't really teach it. It's not my focus. I don't use Puppet either, so kind of the same answer. Yeah, some people didn't get the emails right away. I mean, I think there's still value in doing the video and just mentioning it to people. People wanted to know my take on it, and my take is data breaches happen. I'm happy companies disclose it. Change your passwords. What's your go-to hypervisor that you recommend to customers? Once again, you're looking for, would it be a trinary solution because of the big three hypervisors? I don't have a go-to. I ask what they need done. And, if they need, my preference, if there's no parameters given, I'll just say use XCP-NG. That's my go-to hypervisor. If you want to use Hyper-V or you have a use case for ESXi or a vendor requirement specifically is usually what drives things for either of those two, then you may have to use them because that's your vendor requirement for support. How do you monitor servers? With Zabbix or SolarWinds or depends on what kind of monitoring you're talking about. I know, if only I was an expert in every IT-related instance. How do you manage my Linux? I manage my Linux servers with SSH. What's a cheap alternative to Ubiquiti? That gets tricky. Now, I seen them over here and there, and I'm sorry that I have a... I will try to say it right. I realize I said it wrong a few times, but Mac Telecom Networks has done videos. He's in here. Click it. Find his YouTube channel. TP-Link makes a product. They even copied the shortcomings of UniFi, like the non-multiple WAN IP addresses. I don't know. I've always think that TP-Link is inexpensive, kind of cheaper equipment. They copied the way UniFi does it with a self-hosted controller. But I don't know. I didn't look yet. I'm going to go out and bet that TP-Link doesn't have a bug bounty program. I don't know how well vetted their equipment is. And I don't know anything long-term if it works any better. I can tell you, TP-Link switch right here. So I was playing with it the other day. Like VLAN hopping and things like that are arbitrarily easy on this because of the way they implemented the backplane. I mean, I don't think of them making high quality or secure products. So, and they're also not like 1/2 the price of Ubiquiti. They're a little bit less, not night and day less. So there is at least a competitor at trying to get into the market the same way that UniFi is. I have no idea if their support's going to be better. Couldn't be worse. I don't know. Their documentation is really lacking because just downloading and setting up their software is confusing when you go to their website because the 3 series has newer release dates than the 4 series. So I'm not sure which one you're supposed to be on, but there's some confusion. But I mean, I think the market's ready for more competitors in that market. Maybe it's a tough market to get into. So TP-Link is neat, but VirtualBox on Windows XP. There you go. What about Guacamole? I think a few people have done videos. I don't have a use case for Guacamole. So it's neat, but I don't use it. Yeah, TP-Link is cheap, but not Not good for security. I don't know. By the way, when I checked a couple times, it seems like a lot of their stuff was sold out. They don't have many products that are in their new, I think it's called Omada, TP-Link Omada, I think is the name of it. I don't know. The documentation is horrible. Yeah, Mac Telecom Networks did a video on it, and watch that. So he covered it. I don't know if I will dive into it or not. It seems like it's so much only a little bit less expensive than UniFi, and TP-Link is not. Now, I do like TP-Link unmanaged switches. We buy a lot of their small switches. They're nice. They're metal case. When you're dealing with an unmanaged switch, sometimes you just have a spot. I need a couple more switches to hook something up. I think they're good. I've used a handful of their 24-port dumb switches where I don't need managed switches or any type of monitoring. I just need some connectivity with a few computers. I think they're good for that. I got one that's like 6 years old. Works perfect. We bought a bunch of them in the early days because they were some of the least expensive 1 gig switches you could buy years ago that seemed really reliable. And there's still one plugged into my network for a handful of things that have their own private VLAN, and I just don't care about managing it. I was going to replace it one day and just never got around to it, and it's been 6 years. It's got to be older than 6 years. It's an old switch, but it just works. Yeah, I don't know if I go firewall from them. That's a whole other issue. Yeah, this one right here, this is an 8-port easy smart switch with also confusing documentation. This is a TLSG108E. It's the one I reviewed, and it's, I don't know, it's not secure for sure. It only supports web management on port 80, no command line interface. Yeah. What are you going to do? I will bring up something I was having a conversation about just before I got on here. The MSP situation that, I don't know, I'll ask, there's 272 of you here, so one of you will comment on this and tell me if you think I should do a video, because I don't have a hot take on it, so to speak. I don't have a strong opinion one way or another other than companies shouldn't violate terms of service. I'll preface it with that. That's my hot take. Apparently, and this is common in this industry, I'll also preface it with that, the Microsoft CSP program. So you take companies like, for those of you not familiar with this, let's explain how it works. Microsoft sells Azure, Microsoft sells Office 365, Microsoft sells services. You can sign up with Microsoft for said services, or you can buy those services through a third party. And then you can set up a billing. So I sell you services, I buy them through a third party such as Pax8, and then I'm reselling the Microsoft services to the clients. Well, here's where the things get fuzzy. Microsoft has been going around everything and contacting clients directly. Yeah, that's bad terms of service and now cuts you out as the middleman, because they can even cut better deals because now their salespeople are contacting your clients directly. Is it wrong? Sure. But I don't have a take on it. My take is I avoid much of the reseller markets. I've never I can't say avoid them completely because I am a reseller for some things, but I don't rely on it. It would suck if that line item of revenue went away, but it would be a small line on revenue. We always sell on the value that we can create overall for our competency on helping people with projects. That's where I always find, because that you can't cut me out of. Me and my team and how we architect something is where we charge for the value we create. But you obviously have companies, and this has happened with SonicWall back when they were part of Dell. They would go around the vendors who were resellers and cut you out of the reseller contract commissions. Meraki, done the same thing. And you go down the list. There's lots of companies that have done this. This is just the tech industry. It's cutthroat. They first start out, and you can even look at probably companies like voice companies. We will only have a reseller program. We will never poach your clients. And then they pay out a 15% commission, and some bean counter, when a company gets big, goes, you know how to make 15% more on your bottom line? Just get rid of all these resellers. Re-sign the contracts. Matter of fact, we can make 10% because we give a 5% discount to get them away from their current vendors, and we don't pay out the other vendors. Away we go. We just made more money. But didn't they help you? Someone will argue. Didn't they build the base because you promised them recurring revenue and commission? And then they go, yeah, we don't need them anymore, though, because look how big we are. I don't know. I don't know if I really have any more hot take than that on it. I'm just jaded. So As I said earlier to that person, I have no other way to describe it. It's like an expected behavior at this point. So, at home, I use UniFi, Wi-Fi, Aruba switching. Cool. Aruba's not bad. Aruba's nice for the parts that can have local access, but like the instant ons, they only work on the cloud controller, which is a problem because if they discontinue the cloud controller, they discontinue your wireless. That's not something I think is a great idea. Tom, wait for the day SolarWinds contacts your customers and you. Okay, I'm fine with that day. That day may come. That's whatever. That's one of the reasons you don't see me waving a flag. Matter of fact, SolarWinds used to have a reseller program, and now they killed it off. So it's kind of in some ways happened. I don't know. That's whatever. It's not that I would feel any difference to SolarWinds. It's a expected, it may happen behavior. The reality is SolarWinds is barely what we're charging for when you look at the scheme of things. We're charging for the outcome, charging for all the support. We roll in SolarWinds to it. We're not line iteming SolarWinds, but if they cut that out, they'll just pay us directly without doing it. There's actually not an easy way right now, even if I wanted to set them up with direct sale to SolarWinds. Couldn't do it. There's not some easy methodology at all. Matter of fact, because of SolarWinds minimums, a 30-person office, like it were 30 workstation plus some servers in an office, couldn't even get the price we get because of the minimum seat requirements that they wouldn't be able to meet. And I don't know if SolarWinds had a program that made it easier where I could set it up as a direct bill, I probably would do it. We frequently set people up as direct bill with Microsoft. And it's not, you bank for it because I don't like building something that has a high level of dependency on a third party. And some people literally build their entire business around their third party dependency. And if that third party has some problems, you have a problem just as well. So wait for the day they undercut me. I so doubt they will do it. Because I don't think SolarWinds wants to get into the direct support stuff that we do, and especially so much of the work that we do, project work. That's where the money comes in for us, is project work, doing integrations and standing up new servers and things like that. As I've mentioned many times, we're not one of those one flat rate MSP. You give us this much money and we just take care of everything without any exceptions. No, we have this much base for all the monitoring and cybersecurity stuff we provide for you via our stack, which is SolarWinds, SentinelOne, and Huntress. And then on top of that, you're like, oh, I would like to replace my server, my 2016 server, and let's move it to a new version of server. Or, right now we're still replacing some 2012 servers. As we upgrade some of those servers, that migration incurs a cost and a bill and a new server. That's where we make money, because that's a lot of labor. Migrating their enterprise application from server A to server B, or moving from the cloud or back down from the cloud back local, whichever way they need to go, depending on their situation. That's where we make money. I don't bank on money just coming in from reselling a product and putting in some percent markup and going, that's all I do. I'm just a product reseller. That's not uninteresting to me. How do you monitor and update Linux server? I use unattended upgrades. I just have them automatically update. I don't mind servers automatically updating. So Microsoft is contacting the Teams exploratory users. Technically, the CSP reseller never sold them that license. It was self-service, which is their get out of jail card. Oh, okay. They found. Here's the thing: you put enough lawyers in a room, they will find a workaround for whatever it is they do. Matter of fact, Microsoft is as much built on lawyers as it is on developers. Steve Ballmer should have really been yelling, lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. That's how we built this company. Don't you know what Bill Gates' dad did for a living? Bill Gates didn't drop out of school for programming. He dropped out of law school. Like, seriously. He came up with software licensing, and that's what made him money, not good code. Sorry, Microsoft. I have no love for any of that. And they built a $1 billion company and discovered open source. Because they figured, the code doesn't matter. We can host the servers now. Anyways. Let's see. If SolarWinds sold directly, customers would be beating down your door to have you take over the billing. You're not wrong about that. SolarWinds can't figure out how to get the billing right sometimes. That is a fact. That's not a fact of just SolarWinds, by the way. Spend any time in Reddit r MSP and then queue up the weekly, I can't believe this company has no idea how billing works properly. It's just, it's aggravating. You know, I will admit, my favorite company is still Huntress. They are one of the easiest people to deal with. It's not just that I am friendly with Huntress and wear some Huntress shirts. They literally just make stuff easy. And I hope they never lose that touch. They have really got the golden touch for just making my life easy, setting things up. Would Ballmer been all sweaty while I was yelling that? Probably. He was really excited. Lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. That's what Microsoft is built on. Ruckus Unleashed. I don't know. I've never really tested them. I've talked to some people that like them. I never really dove into the details of Ruckus. Maybe sometime I will. I'm unclear on the licensing of some of these. It's been a little while since I looked. But I remember I looked at their website and I said, huh? What costs money and what doesn't for recurring fees? I try to avoid stuff that has a lot of those fees, especially when they rely on certain cloud dashboards. I just don't like that design. Yeah, try SolarWinds 123 for your billing. Fair enough. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hello, Tom. Hey, Brett. Yeah, I don't think Ruckus, I think Ruckus makes a solid product. My understanding is their product is dependable. I just don't understand it. I'm telling you, Meraki makes a dependable product. I don't know their licensing as well, and that's the challenge with Meraki. They aren't cheap. Extending tap interfaces on OpenVPN. I don't think I've played with that in years and years and years. I don't have an interest in doing it either because there's a reason why it's not defaulted that way. It's the way it handles certain traffic. It's very inefficient. It doesn't work well, is basically my understanding. I can't remember the nuances of why. I remember when I first got into networking trying it, this is neat. Oh no, this doesn't scale and it breaks a lot. It's been years. I don't know how much it's improved, but I will tell you there's a reason it defaults to the way it does. So, greetings from San Jose. UniFi talk. I don't think UniFi should get back into the phone business. I'll say that. I don't have a lot of faith in that. They're diving into it again after they messed it up the first time. No, I don't do much with microcontrollers. Yeah, I'm unclear which Ruckus. Some Ruckus need cloud, some don't. That's the... So the Unleashed doesn't require a license, but they recommend a support plan. Now, this is where I get confused because this is how some of these companies are. Oh, we don't have a license, but you can't update firmware. You can't do... They limit you if you don't have a support plan instead of a license. So it's kind of like that. It works, but it doesn't work well unless you buy the support plan. And that's where I wish they would just be clear on that. So Ruckus Unleashed, is it full featured without cloud, I guess is what I'm asking. I'm honestly saying I don't know. I'm not poo-pooing their product as much as I am genuinely curious if it actually works properly without a license on it. Could you describe the Ruckus? It's a ruckus. It's a ruckus trying to figure it out. I'll go to their website. Maybe I'll look at it again. Maybe they want to... Basically, no auto update unless you have a plan. Okay. Ruckus unleashes no cloud, but you need a support for updates. But works without the license. It just works, but if there's a flaw in it, yeah, we can't fix our flaws unless you buy a license from us. that's annoying. SonicWall does that too. If you don't have a plan for your SonicWall, and SonicWall had some major problems in 2020, that's why there's so many SonicWalls not up to date. People let the plan lapse, and then they go, well, the plan lapsed, so I guess we're just going to leave these firmwares out there with all the bugs in it. So I mentioned I was thinking about how some of the companies need a control plane, and you could load, it should work fine on XCP-ng because it doesn't have, Nebula doesn't have any dependencies. It's very standalone, so you're not modifying the core of XCP-ng. And if you built it out that way, you could have scattered XCP-ng servers and have them hosting services, but then manage with Zen Orchestra and have a control plane connecting them that way. I think it might be kind of a neat idea. I've not at all tested and know any problems that may arise from it. But I thought it was kind of novel, and it might be one of those methodologies by which to do. The Nebula stuff is cool. That's why I released a video on it. I've talked a lot with the security architect, Ryan Huber, CEO of the company, and it's just a great product. I think it's off to a great start. It's got some, they're working heavy on documentation. He's hiring, he's putting it together, keeping it open source. He's an open source advocate. So this is me just throwing out there the project to let other people become aware of it. I also prefaced it with the fact that there are shortcomings, like the NAT doesn't work as well right now, but the product isn't some random project. It's something that Slack is using on tens of thousands of servers to control it. So you're talking about a protocol that's in use, battle tested, if you want to say that. It's deployed actively in use on servers at one of the arguably largest communication companies out there. So we're going to say it's been tested and can handle some pretty intense levels of transactions. Yeah, the problem with more competitors in the SMB space is startup costs are absolutely incredible for this. Yeah, zero tier and XCP-ng works as well. But the startup costs, if I wanted to start today being a hardware person, even with my YouTube audience, I'm saying like if I actually wanted to start a hardware company, I'd have to find some VCs to back me heavy. I'd have to find someone who is good at writing software, hire a team. And we're talking probably $1 million in development costs in the team. Then I need some hardware engineers. Then I need all the contacts to get the manufacturing done. Put this together. It's probably a 2-year build out from now with millions of dollars. Then I got to convince you people to buy it. And it's not an easy task. Maybe one day I'll get that ambitious or find someone who's actually taken the time to do some really clever groundwork. But man, building one from scratch, it's a very cost intensive. The car industry is very similar. It took an amazing amount of money. Elon Musk dumped a ton of money to make Tesla happen. I've read the book. It's fascinating. It's a deep dive. There's a lot going on. He runs the company to this day like at the edge of bankruptcy because it's not easy to start that company either. Matter of fact, prior to Tesla, the last American car company to file an IPO was Chrysler around 20s or 30s. And it almost feel that same way in the networking industry. It is really hard if I wanted to be a startup network industry because you look at right here. Here we go with Cisco. And, you know, the old adage, no one ever got fired from Cisco, but Cisco's somewhat they're still being Cisco, but somewhat disrupting the market when they start releasing lower cost things, because I now have, companies that go, hey, I don't want to lose that little bit of a small market. So they jump into it a little bit. And especially because Cisco, and you're right, if you said, hey, I like Cisco because of their long warranties, it's another thing I would have to provide. And as a startup, everyone's like, well, sure, they started last year, now we'll want to provide a long warranty. Right. Will they be around next year? So it's not an easy start. I wish there was more competition, but it's not an easy. It's a really big uphill battle to get that going. Let's see. What do we have here? Meraki has Go for SMB. My understanding is the Meraki Go is just doesn't work very well. I've been told that. I've never tested it. It was their... I love when people were telling me it would be the end of UniFi when Rocky had Go. Basically, I've been told from people who use it, it's awful. It's so basic, and it's a barrage of upsell. Every time you run into a feature, you should buy the higher end version. This is what I was told by a few people. I have not vetted this at all, but it made them really not like it. And I said, yeah, Cisco's been in the market for a long time. Yeah, Cisco lays people off, that's for sure. Nope. Signal increased. I tweeted it out today. Signal is increasing the number of servers they have to handle the new influx of all the new people. They're actually scaling quite quickly. It's pretty awesome. They were slow for a few hours. It doesn't take them long to spin up new servers. They're built to scale. I don't think they expected Elon Musk's tweet to be so successful. Yeah, Netgear, I wouldn't trust their cloud stuff. I don't have any faith in UniFi's Gateway Pro. I do not have any faith in UniFi's routing equipment. Sorry. Ubiquiti has, I heard, a beta of their PTZ camera. I don't know when they're coming around to doing anything that's more reasonably cost. Sherlone VPN clients. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter where Signal servers are. I see people commenting. It doesn't matter. The transport layer is encrypted from the time it leaves your phone to the time it gets to the other person. It is a truly end-to-end encryption. So their servers are blind completely to the traffic. So it doesn't matter. Their servers are all over the place, and it doesn't matter where they are, though, because the only thing they obviously are going to know is your public IP address. You can't avoid that. They know the IP address. They know where it came from. They know the IP address it landed to. That is the only piece of information that the servers are privy to. Everything else is encrypted with Signal from the beginning to the end. It doesn't matter where they move their servers to or anything like that. Yeah, I don't... It's kind of weird that I see someone say the UBNT PTZ, so... No, Signal does not require that you pre-share keys. It does require that you trust the person on the other line. What I mean by that, so if I'm using Signal and you're using Signal and you send me a message, you have to know the person you're sending a message to because there is a safety number. Now, when I send that message to you, you can feel free to call me or contact me to verify that I am who I said I was. But if, this is where Signal is interesting, if I were to change phones, you'll get a notification that I did so. That's your point to be suspicious. Hey, Tom, did you change phones? It says you did. There's not really a pre-shared key that needs to be done ahead of time. You just have to verify that you're talking to that person. But if that person changes their primary phone device, well, now it will tell you that their safety number has changed, and it lets you decide whether or not you want to verify that. The idea and concept is, let's say someone's phone gets compromised or someone is cloning my phone. If you clone my phone, it will change the safety number because of the way the encrypted store works on Signal. So it's not that you need a pre-shared key in order to have encrypted communications. The protocol that Signal uses is well vetted, well documented, and provides full secrecy from one end to the other. You just have to know the other end you're sending it to. That's the only thing. But no one on the line can tap it. Yes, they will ask if you are allowed to send that person first message. Can you use Signal on multiple devices with synced history? Yes, you can. That does not defeat it, though. So that's a different scenario where you're using your phone, for example, because your phone is the primary way you authenticate. I authenticate from my phone to the other devices. That means someone has to have my phone to do so. So, I mean, there's really no way of knowing. And here's what's silly about all this conversation right here. If you want to know if someone was compromised in some way, you don't. Because if that other person on the end was compromised by the fact that every time they get a message, they hand their phone over to the person sitting next to them that you didn't want to read the message, what's your defense against that? There's nothing you can do. Yeah, I wish more people would use Signal, and I gotta admit, I've seen so many people. It's impressive how many more people are now using Signal. You know, I gotta admit, the DHCP problem, with UniFi, definitely a weird one, because as I've been talking to people, it occurs on some firewalls, but not others, which doesn't make any sense to me. One person that we consulted with, they have two different DHCP servers. One of them can hand out addresses fine, the other one cannot. And they're two different servers. One was a USG, and pfSense can also hand them out, but I think it was a Cisco they had that couldn't. Another company, a SonicWall, can't. But you can statically assign all the addresses on the network, and they work perfectly fine. And it doesn't do it consistently. We can't make it do it every time with the SonicWall. It does it sometimes. And all it does is delay getting the IP address, so we don't know why. And it's not the SonicWall, because if you plug in the hard line, it works fine. That's a weird problem, and not been an easy one to sort out. It does not matter who, yeah, I've said that already. It does not matter who hosts the Signal servers. It's not relevant. You even have non-techies asking about signals. Yes. DHCP with a twist. Oh, Willie Howe, yes. Main LAN could not hand out addresses. A single VLAN couldn't. Huh. Yeah, it's there's some weird goofiness going on with that. I hope they get them sorted out. It's been an ugly bug in the UniFi platform for a while with the DHCP. Say what? DHCP problems, a UniFi and a SonicWall? Yes. It's kind of weird because we have like the pfSense boxes we've tried always just work. Matter of fact, the Untangle ones too. We've tried Untangle and pfSense because that's primarily what we use, and both of those don't have the problem. It took a while before we had a client who provided his own firewall, which was a SonicWall, that we seen the problem. But we can't reproduce it on demand, which is also why it's so hard. So we've been trying to walk through steps until we find the step that does it. So yeah. I mean, I would like to be dismissive and blame SonicWall, but I also prefer to keep my clients happy and be useful to solve a client that ordered. Well, they spent a lot of money with us. We've installed hundreds and hundreds of UniFis for them. And by the way, it's only one site that seems to have the problem. So, yep. PF sensor bust. Well, some people really like the SonicWalls, and yeah. UBNT won't fix till its end of life. Maybe. Oh, I see Phillips in here. Yes, I've mentioned before, you can use Signal with, what do you call it? You can use Signal with VoIP MS. And I thought about doing a video. That might be a good video topic to do, is how to get Signal set up with VoIP MS. And I bring that up because all you need is the verification text sent, and I have our phone number. We're not really actively using this, but I did tie our phone number to Signal, so it's at least tied to it on my office number. I should look to see if anybody messaged me on our office number. But yeah, that's Philip. That's actually a good idea to do a VoIP MS video where I show you how to register VoIP MS and get Signal set up, so you don't have to use your cell phone, but you can have another number tied to it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Signal. And it's funny because someone commented on my video, because my videos, a couple of them on Signal have taken off because people are looking for Signal. I already had videos on it. And someone says, I know you're legit because you made this video before Elon tweeted it. And I actually commented, I said, I've been using Signal for like 4 years. Here's my old video on it from years ago. I've been using it since it came out. And I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It's been, I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I've been using it since it came out. I just found it to be a really solid way to do communication. And because my circle of cybersecurity people were using it right away with me, I always had people to talk to on it. Yes, there's one of my staff. Eric's right. Eric was using it before it was cool. Hey, Sam, awesome. First time here. I like that. I like when security stuff like that gets invaded by the masses. Yeah, I did laugh at Signal Advance. Someone thought Elon was tweeting about that, and they seen a big bump in stock. That was hysterical. Yeah, I might do some more videos on that. The problem is I don't use Windows at all, so it's hard for me to make a comparison between standard software you might use and that. So I may make more videos about, I may make more videos just in general about the software I use on Linux, but I don't always know what people use every day in Windows to do a direct comparison. Signal has servers around the world. It's going to route to the most efficient server for you. That becomes complicated. I don't know geographically where every server is, but part of the design, as I had stated earlier about Signal, is by not having the information. It's a big change in the tech community. If you go back to is it LeVar Levinson, who owned the person who owned LavaBit, they made the mistake of having the keys. They had the ability to decrypt that LavaBit email. That was where all their problems began, especially legal ones. In a lot of companies, and for example, LastPass was one of the first password managers to go to a essentially zero trust model. Once they said, hey, if I don't have the information, it suddenly doesn't matter from a cybersecurity standpoint, and it matters a lot less from a subpoena standpoint. You can't subpoena stuff I don't have. Well, you can. You will get answers back. And this is now how many of the companies are building that zero trust. You can't subpoena me for data I don't have. So Signal followed that business model. They just don't have the data. So they can be, matter of fact, there's one of my videos I covered how Signal handles subpoenas. They take them, they go, here's our nothing. Would you like a copy of our nothing? It's really easy to give you a copy of because we don't have it. They're kind of smart ass about it, which is great. It's one of the important things about, when you build out something, you want to think about that, and they took the time to really think that through. Yeah, try Hack Me is neat. If you want to get into doing some of that stuff, definitely fun. Syncing to copy backups between servers. Yes, it works great. Azure or AWS, whichever one makes you happy. Same thing. There's not an answer for which cloud service provider is the best. What are you trying to do? Which one's the best? What is the workload you're trying to put on there? Do you need the Microsoft licenses provided? Moving VMs over to Linux. Great idea. Zero trust, in-depth defense. Yes. I like Bitwarden. That's what we've been using for password management. I don't think LastPass is bad either. Not the one I prefer to use, but it's the one I probably recommend most to end users because it's just kind of easy for them to set up. And it has a popular adoption. But my preference would be to use Bitwarden. It kind of depends on how tech savvy the person is. I have not done anything with Ceph. Ceph and Gluster are long down the road on my to-do list right now. They're neat, but they're not something I really want to use right now. Yeah, don't use Chrome for password management. That's a terrible idea. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of LogMeIn's purchase of it, but yes. I doubt UniFi will do anything with Zigbee. I don't think that's on their roadmap in any meaningful way. Oh, let's see. Don't use Google Chrome for that. Google is one of the first providers. It's also just not the best way to store the data for your passwords inside of Google Chrome. We'll just say it's a bad idea in general. I don't think Ubiquiti really has a roadmap. I would say it's not on the perceived roadmap. Security is the real challenge. One of the problems with the way, and I don't know, it's been a while since I've dug into it, it was arbitrary for people to use plugins, for example, to pull all the data out of the encrypted data store because it's not really encrypted for the way it stores passwords. It wasn't hard for plugins to pull passwords out that were saved in Chrome back out of Chrome. That's a short answer. Using a separate plugin, just a better solution overall from a security standpoint. I don't use any Zigbee stuff, so. OpenSwitch is neat, but I have not really played with it. I'm aware of it. I've looked at it as a product, but not something I'm not actively using it. I want to say the higher end models of fs.com, some of their higher end switches use that. They use an open source switching software, but it's not something I've really spent a lot of time with. No, we're not getting rid of complex passwords. Complex passwords are a good thing. High entropy is the better word for it, not complex. What do we got here? OpenSwitch is supported by Dell. Yeah, Dell, I think there's a few different companies that are getting into it because, well, they can keep making hardware, which is what they're good at, and not necessarily good at making software. Longer passwords are better. The more entropy is really what you get down to. You want more entropy. You want more random in your passwords. The reuse of passwords and the guessing of passwords is a problem for sure. Let's look over here. Let's see. Password manager. What about Microsoft Sonic? I haven't used Microsoft Sonic, so not really sure. Multi-factor. Yes, for sure. You should really be using multi-factor. The requirements for numbers, capitals, symbols have never stopped anyone. That's not true. They add complexity. When you start adding more complexity, you end up with this, obviously if you just said, well, all I do is use 4 exclamation points for my password. No, you didn't add entropy to it. Better way to describe that. Use Daft Punk lyrics as passwords. Oh boy. Around the world, around the world, around the world, around the world. How many did you use? All of them though? The entire song? Or just the one line? Oh, I'm not ready for retina scans. I know if anyone figures out my passwords, I'm going to have to rename my kids. pfSense does not have a plugin for two-factor. It'd be nice if they did, but I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Someone's going to grill me on it and lose their mind over it, but I don't think pfSense should be publicly exposed anywhere. It should be locked down and filtered by certain IPs. You limit who can even log into it from a certain network and things like that. So, yeah, I'm sharing my browser screen. I felt like moving it down here because that way you guys can all see it. Why not? You can read the questions together. We can also do it like this. I don't know, which is better. I'm just reading a lot of questions right now, so. You can do pfSense using LDAP. That is another way to do it. It's just not natively built in. Ooh, what is in the LTS folder? Oh. Some servers. One of my favorite things here. My Amazon Associates account. The SolarWinds dashboard link. Random things. My check register. We use Google Docs, so there's a lot of Google Docs links in here. My Zabbix server links, my UniFi video. That's why I switched the screen. I didn't want to actually show what was on there. Here, this is my. We're gonna do this because this here, in case you need a password generator, go to dinopass.com. Look, Blue Pencil 91. If you're having trouble thinking of good passwords, just go to DinoPass. I love DinoPass. Then you can go here, and then you can add a little bit more. We'll put some symbols on here, despite someone claiming that a symbol doesn't make it more complex. There, now we have a password. It says Bunny Lamp 50. It's novel. I get a kick out of this. If I need to, this is my go-to when I want a spellable, easy one to generate. I'll just jump over here and do it. This is not a high security thing. It's like when I'm building demo servers that I stand up for things. So. Yes, DinoPass. I've sent my children DinoPass passwords for things. I go to DinoPass and set passwords and tell them to go change them to something better. It's just an easy way to get a password over to someone. No, Gray Rabbit, you are very wrong. The NIST guy, the story is very different than what you said. The NIST guy who came up with the complex password said it was wrong. No, that is not true. The person in NIST who came up with the password that said you should change them every 30 days or some time period is where that's why the NIST standard was updated not to have the password expiration times. Password expiration, unless you know or suspect a password was compromised, password expiration is not, it's very minimal what level of security. The concept is I can change my password at some predetermined time, and then anyone who previously had my password and may have been using it to log into things now doesn't have it to log into things. It's an edge case. If they have your password, sometimes they create a token or something else or change it. So it didn't prove out to be the strongest of security measures. Complex passwords, definitely a better security measure. So Gray Rabbit will probably agree again, but hey, whatever. Road Warrior VPN, OpenVPN is probably going to be the most popular for that. People just increment by a number. That's the real tragedy. This is how we get all the summer 2019, fall 2019, and every year increments up a number because they were forced quarterly every 90 days to change your password. And that, yes. Small business firewall, pfSense. Forced password change equals dog's name 1, and then dog's name 2, and dog's name 3. No, there's not been a passwordless solution besides Steve Gibson's Squirrel authentication is pretty cool. I haven't seen any widespread adoption of it. I mean, I think we're going to get closer eventually to some other authentication methods, but it's going to be a while. Adoption's really slow. Yes, the password generator and KeyPass is definitely, yeah. Oh, yes. Force incremented password changes. YubiKeys are pretty cool. I don't know about YubiKey as passwordless, but YubiKeys as a second factor is pretty neat. Chris did a great video on YubiKey. People have asked me about doing one. I thought about it. Maybe. YubiKey definitely make sure you have more than one. The good side of YubiKey, really good authentication. The downside of YubiKey, if you lose your YubiKey, you're not authenticating anymore. So you have to set up duplicate ones. So there are some challenges around it. Chris had mentioned when he moved to his new location, I watched his video on it, and he had mentioned that he lost one of his YubiKeys, but he had a backup. Matter of fact, he lost his backup YubiKey. So good thing he noticed that he lost his backup YubiKey, because that could be a scary thing. I'm a big fan of TOTP, time-based authentication tokens. They still feel pretty secure right now here in January of 2021. I tackled my first contract by turning my first client into my first contract. Look up the nuclear codes. They were really weak. The nuclear codes were really protected weakly for a long time. Algorithm based on name and website. TOTP is definitely just, it's a solid protocol. It's not something you can man in the middle. It's something you can keep on more than one device for backup, or because you can generate them with QR codes, you can take the QR codes and put them in a safe, print them out, lock them in a safe. The statistical likelihood that someone has both access to your passwords and then knows where you put these in a safe and was able to get at those, especially if you use something like a safe deposit box at a bank, pretty challenging if they were to do that. So, yeah. The RSA time-based tokens, I don't know about the early versions of them. Later, the RSA system used to, I believe, they were all time-based, some of the later ones. I don't know if you can do the RFIDs and YubiKey to be an implant. I think they require too much power, but I'm not positive. I'm not sure how small they can make them. I've never really explored that. You can get RFID chips implanted, but yeah. Posted some DevOps related picture in your Discord. Cool. I go in Discord randomly. What do we have here? There are NFC YubiKeys, but how big are they? Are they small enough to be turned into an implant, or does it turn into a body modification at that point? Because they're too big. I don't know. Yeah, not small enough. Okay. Yeah, TOTP lets you take and back up the secrets. I actually started using a program called AEG. I think that's what it's called. There we go. This. Aegis Authenticator. So, and it's supported on F-Droid, and it is an open source project. So, open source authentication, Aegis Authenticator, screenshots. It is pretty cool. So, if you are looking for something that's open source and good, I don't think it'll let me post the link in here, but you get the idea. Definitely a good system to use. Oh, let's see. You could mount the NFC chip on the end of a wand. Yes. I haven't really looked at what LastPass auth is. I don't like when people go off the beaten path. Like, the TOTP is solid and reliable, so. There is nothing that even compares to the, I'm looking at it over there on the shelf. I don't think there's really anything that even compares to the MikroTik for the price. So let's look it over on Amazon. 5-port. Yeah, I don't think anyone's in this price category right here. I mean, that's when I bought it. It says, my head's in the way. There we go. You purchased this item on January 6th. These are $138. I think it was $129 when I bought it. It was a couple dollars less. But either way, I can't name anything 10 gig in that price range. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm just unaware of things, but I don't think anyone's tried to compete in that market. It's a niche market, too. The market is pretty much very small offices and home users that want 10 gig at an affordable price. I can't argue with that price. That's one of the reasons I picked it up and reviewed it. I'm like, this is a solid switch. It's worked well. I know other people that have used it in their labs and said, wow, this works. Okay, LastPass Authenticator is TOTP. Got it. What else we got? How much do you make with Amazon affiliate links? Let's look. I'm very public about how much money I make on any of the YouTube stuff. So let me log into it first. Oh, here we go. $981.14 as of right now for the last 30 days. So, oh, this is total commissions. I think that was paid out before. It's very random. I used to make more. I make less now because Jeff Bezos, once he became the richest guy in the world, coincidentally, which also I don't know if he is now or not. Either way, coincidentally, they cut all of our commission rates in half, roughly, for affiliate link commission. So it pays out between $1,000 and $2,000 a month. It used to pay out a lot more, but the rates went down after Jeff Bezos and his company decided that you're going to use Amazon anyways. We don't need to pay these people like we used to on the affiliate links. But I didn't base my living on Amazon affiliate links. There was people crying about it, and I agree it was sad. It was sad, but it's also, like I said at the very beginning, talk about the reseller thing. Cool that I get it. I didn't build a business around a commission that comes from a company that can, at will, cut your commission in half because they feel like it. Bitwarden TOTP. I don't like putting passwords and TOTP in the same place because it's suddenly not two-factor. It's two factors in one spot. So if someone gets in your Bitwarden, they now have both. If someone gets in my Bitwarden right now because I don't have my TOTP in there, they would have to also have possession of my phone, which doesn't have Bitwarden on it, by the way. Yeah, apparently they needed more money for themselves. Yes. This is an L480 ThinkPad. Oh, I've shared my affiliate data and I've shared my YouTube data for anyone curious about that. While we're here, let me refresh the page so we get the latest numbers as they are rolling out. Come on. There we go. Load the page. Roughly $5,500 a month in revenue comes from YouTube. I get, matter of fact, we can roll it back. Let's go bigger. Let's go 90 days. In the last 90 days, I've made $18,000 in revenue. I've gained 18,000 subscribers, and so let me move my head. I've had 2.9 million views. This is weird too. If you dive into the engagement numbers for those, well, is it reach or engage? Oh, audience. This is a cool number right here because even though I only have about 160,000 subscribers, this is the unique viewers number. How do my head get backward? There we go, so you can read those things. I get 1.1 million unique viewers. Now, the unique viewers is an interesting number to me because it's people that came to find a solution to a problem, a tutorial. And that means they're not going to subscribe. So I have substantially more people watching my videos than subscribe to it. And I don't blame them for not subscribing. They could care less about the overall things I do, and I don't think there's anything I can do to change their minds on that. They came because they found a problem that was like, I need to learn how to set up a VLAN. Tom had a video on how to set up a VLAN, therefore they watched it, and they're probably not going to watch another one of my videos because once they solve the problem, they don't care. So I end up with a really high number of unique viewers, and that's just kind of interesting to me. But yeah, then it breaks down to revenue and where the money comes from and break down by month. Some months are better, some months are worse. That's just how the YouTube rolls. From an individual video basis, by the way, you don't make a lot of money. Top earning videos, $1,200 for a video that takes as many hours as that video took is not a lot of revenue from it. Same thing with all the editing time and everything that goes into it, and it goes downhill very quickly. You know, it's nice making the money. I'm absolutely appreciative of it, but it's not like, I don't want to sound dismissive. It is a lot of money, but there's a lot that goes into it, and I also have a staff that helps out with things, so it's not like it's just me by my lonesome collecting all this. There's a lot to it. This building is expensive. Me and my staff have discussed that many times. Jeff Bezos has entered the chat room. Yeah. No interest in using Dashlane. Nope, L480 not a T-Series because it was on sale. For those of you that look for a deeper meaning to things, it was on sale. That's the deeper meaning why I have an L480. How long did it take you to actually seeing money on videos? Years. There's the sunken cost of how many years I've been doing this. I've been producing videos heavily for 4 years. So thank you very much, Gray Rabbit, for adding to the revenue. It is appreciated. That revenue does absolutely include donations, by the way. That's not just ad revenue. That is a accumulation of any of the money you throw at me, and it is greatly appreciated. I really enjoy teaching, and it's not like my videos, and there's some YouTubers that focus on this, are all about just trying to generate revenue. I genuinely like teaching, but I do have bills to pay like anyone else. So I do need some revenue to come in from all the things I do. And I could, lock everything behind paywalls, but I don't want to. So I think it's a fair trade. You have to watch some crappy ads because the YouTube ads are never good. I'm sorry. I've rarely seen any that are worthwhile. You get to watch some crappy ads. I make a few dollars, then I can teach you about technology, and overall, the ad time, the time you spent ads is money you didn't spend on having to buy a locked paywall to get to data. But sometimes there's still value, like IT Pro TV. There's still value in signing up for a service, especially when you need someone, mentioned earlier, hey, Tom, teach me how to use this service. I don't know how to use it. And sometimes the only way you can get that information is by buying a course somewhere. So yeah, there's a lot to it. Let's see. I want to get into YouTube, but I don't know how, but I guess I want to know how long I'm in for. There's no easy answer to that. It takes so much work to start it. You have to be persistent. You have to be good. You have to have content people want to watch. There's people who said, Peter McKinnon's kind of an interesting creator. Peter McKinnon had a goal of skyrocketing to like 1 million subscribers in some time. It was something he accomplished when other people said it couldn't be done. But you also have to go back and look at Peter McKinnon's content. Top notch, top level, highly well produced. The bar is raised. For each time there's someone making good content, you have to be as good as the competitors in your niche, and even better if you can exceed them, provide some type of next level where the audience goes, that's even more in depth of what I wanted. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. So, do I self-host Bitwarden? Yes, I do. Yeah, there's not enough likes on this video. Smash the like button. 300 people watching. That helps the YouTube algorithm. If you can't afford, don't give me money. I've always said that. Like that's one of the reasons I want to put a lot of stuff out there. I get a lot of thank yous and comments where people, they're from areas that are less wealthy than the United States. And I know it would be a burden for them based on conversion of currency to pay money for some of the open source education that I provide. So it's one of the reasons I like keeping everything here on YouTube and being able to not start with, let me tell you how to do this, but stop halfway through the video and subscribe and pay money to me to get the rest of this. I don't know. I'm not a big clickbait person like that. So, how many YouTube Premium do I have? I'm not sure where that, it tells me somewhere. I know the information's available to me. I'm not sure where. Let me look. It doesn't break down the number of people for premium. Well, kind of. I'll share this. It says your estimated ad revenue, YouTube premium revenue, transaction revenue. So I know somewhere I thought it told me how many people were on there, but I don't know where they moved it to. Is it in our audience? If you want to know what things are age, gender, they give me very generic statistics on here. Not much. Yeah. It's funny. Look how many people were referred from Chris's video. That's actually a statistic. And how many people watched Linus and then watched me. That's funny. But, yeah, they have some of the stats on here. I've talked behind the scenes a couple times. Like I said, I've always been open to share how I do that side of things. Let's see. New podcast works. Yeah, podcasts are pretty cool, too. I've thought about doing a podcast. I like YouTube Premium. There's one dislike on my video. It was probably Jeff Bezos. Probably. Jeff Bezos dislikes video. It would be good to make... If you make tutorials on Linux server Active Directory, there's not a Linux Active Directory. It's not, it doesn't work that way. I know. I definitely have an older demographic in here. Yeah, there's a lot of learning I had to do to get here. The camera I have, I like the way the camera does this. Just being able to understand focus and pull and the setups of how all of this works and setting up this, which, by the way, I just borrowed this information from streaming people. I'm just using a Stream Deck to be able to switch back and forth between these. I can't do the overhead because there's no camera there at the moment. So that, but either way, yeah. It is a fun, I had fun doing it, so... The Switch education, I've looked. I don't know. There's nothing I seen exciting about it. I don't like talking about Fortinet. I'd much rather rant about Fortinet. So, yeah. The problem with Fortinet is, the Fortinet problem is their poor coding practices. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the goofiness that they've done. I've ranted about it on my videos. I've articulated, besides someone complaining because I said Fortinet and FortiGate and conflated the two terms, but I'm calling out all the CVEs. I don't care what you call it what you want. The CVEs and some of the poor coding practices and the hard-coded passwords they had were all of the problems. That's my beef with them, per se. But whatever, I have a lot of clients using it, and Do I have a video on disk to VHD conversion to TrueNAS import? No. I don't know why you would import it to TrueNAS. So I don't have a video on it because I don't have a use case for it. I have disk to VHD to get it into a VM, but not on TrueNAS. I don't recommend running VMs on TrueNAS. All right. So yeah, I don't recommend running TrueNAS VMs. I've not done videos on it for the same thing too. So, oh, how many demographics? That's, well, I think that would be over here. Where did that go? Geographies. Geography is United States at 38%. United Kingdom. Canada. Hi, my neighbors from the north. Germany. Australia, Netherlands, India. So views based on the timeline compared here, it looks like there's 78,000, which is only 2.7%. Apparently, I'm not that popular in India. Cumulatively, I'm the most popular in the United States and United Kingdom and Canada and Germany. And from the land down under, which I think is something Americans say, but probably not Australians. I don't know. Netherlands. We have some clients in the Netherlands. Matter of fact, we actually have a lot of clients in France. We've got at least a handful of companies we've consulted with on storage equipment in France. So yeah, that's the breakdown for those wondering. U.S. is dominant, but it's spread across a lot of them, right all the way down to Hungary, Portugal, and everywhere else. I do get I get a decent amount of comments of people asking me to redo the video in another language, which I always reply with, I don't speak your language. I mean, I am not bilingual at all. I speak English, and I'm not even great at that, as other commenters have pointed out. I'm not the most articulate English speaker, which also I don't speak the other languages in any manner as well. Not on my to-do list. Yeah, I've seen a few Fiber Ninja videos. Fiber Ninja's okay. I think he's done some cool stuff. It's just really hard dealing with getting permission, I should say. Getting the permission to film things. I have a fan base in Greece also. Klingon. If there's a language I should learn, it's Klingon. So. Yeah. Thank you for saying I'm fine in English, but I know I've been working on my vocabulary. I've been listening to a lot of the Lexicon Valley podcast. It has greatly expanded my English understanding. Yeah, I should redo your videos in Python. That's the language I should learn. I'll learn Python and redo all my videos as Python statements. Yes. Fun times learning. It's something I once in a while speculate like I should learn another language. It seems like such a good idea, but then the actual execution of that is less so. Did I go to university? No, I'm obsessive. We'll just start there. That's an important factor. I love technology, so I just start tinkering with it. I took the time, for example, I'm that person, and I did the WireGuard video. How did I learn WireGuard? I spent nonstop. I started maybe on a Saturday morning. I don't know. It was a weekend. I know that. Saturday or Sunday morning. It was a lousy day. I didn't want to go outside. It was not nice out. And I spent 13 continuous hours until I understood the technology and understood it and read through code and really stood up, rebuilt servers and things like that. So that's how I get where I'm at with a lot of the technology. It's a persistence, a curiosity. It's like Nebula. Nebula became I became slightly obsessed with it. So I started building servers and scripts and destroying them and building them again. And before I did the video, I tore them down and built them again. And then I tore them down after the video. I do things in repetition to make sure I can articulate them better when I do my videos, but it's just an obsession I have with things. It's not like there's one spot I learn it from. I do a lot of hands-on. There's so many things within reach that I want to play with and touch, because I'll just sit down and go, how does that work? How does this work? And how do I put this together? And how do I get these to set up? That's why these Cisco videos took me a long time. I spent a lot of time diving into Cisco, and anyone who's never touched a Cisco, which I have, but I'm not intimately familiar with them, it took me a while to get the hang of some of the Cisco commands to make sure I felt comfortable tearing them down, resetting them, and configuring them again. And then I was quite aggravated when they didn't work the way they worked in Network Chuck's video, so I then became obsessed with trying to figure out how to make them more automated and realizing it wasn't me, which only aggravated me more when I learned how Cisco actually worked them. So that's how I learned things. What else do we have in here? I don't know who Rob Braxman is. Oh, yes. There's plenty of people, and this is one of the long term. There's a lot of people who are not as good at things. And they make videos, and unfortunately they have inaccuracies in them. That, they're usually, sometimes those videos, this is what started. I remember watching, I don't remember in any way who it was, a couple of videos, and someone said like the whiteboard style videos where someone just opens up Notepad and types into it. I remember seeing a few PFSense videos. I'm like, man, this is awful. And this person's wrong about how this works. And that became me going, that saying, someone was wrong on the internet. And I had to make it right. And I realized, some of my earliest videos are PFSense. I've expanded to other videos because I know about other technologies. So, yeah. Traditional VPNs are dead. Yeah, I hear that all the time. They're not. I laugh in IPsec with you. PFSense or Sophos XG? Yeah. Oh, careful with the knife. Probably should be. I'm opening boxes that are dropped off because now I can't help it. I wanted to touch things around me. Do I have videos about IPsec? I actually don't think I do. As many as we do. Matter of fact, yesterday, my staff, not me, they're smart people here. They can set up sonic walls and tie them to PFSenses and fun stuff like that. So we definitely do lots of IPsec. I do it too. I've had to solve some stupid IPsec problems before. I've not done any videos on it because I just don't like it. I'm hoping it goes away. So I feel like the videos will become irrelevant. There's something mental blocking me from doing a video on it. Maybe one day, but it won't be today. Oh yeah, I'm definitely doing the cable video. That's coming up. Actually, a few things came up related to that. So details coming soon on the Game Changer cable. I am excited that the review is coming. I'm going to break something. I keep it on table. Anyways, so yes, we're going to be reviewing this cable soon, and I have I did the video with Dan Barrera, who is he certifies the cables and is on the board for TIA for doing standards, and I have a video with him, and we're doing a new one about new cabling standards that have come out. And so I'm going to do testing with this cable. I'm going to be talking to Dan Barrera, diving into some things, and it's just going to be fun. I love these braided cables. These are so nice. I've never reviewed any of these things. These are the chargers for my laptop and a few other devices. So that's why I'm opening them. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some videos on this. It's definitely up and coming. I couldn't get Nebula out of my head until I did a video about it. I had such a great conversation with Ryan Huber diving into the technology, how it's working, and how the progress is coming along. And because of all the conversations I had, I wanted to get a video out on it. And now I can go back to doing the cable one, which is actually my next video. See, we have a donation from Sato. Awesome. Hello from Japan. Thank you for a great video. Provides educational channel and very motivating. So I didn't even mention Japan when I was running through the countries, but thank you. I've heard that Japanese people as a whole, and one of my staff is actually, he speaks some Japanese and has been learning to read and write in it. But my understanding is English is a popular language to understand in terms of reading and writing, but less often understood in spoken word. So that's awesome that you actually understand me, because I remember I was in a discussion forum and they said a lot of people learn it. They can read the words very well, but they don't know how to pronounce them because they don't spend as much time interacting with English speakers. They read it very well because you're on the internet, but not as much time with that. Well, maybe it's changing because of YouTube, and maybe that's outdated information. But I can imagine that becoming the case. I also, it was years ago, I read a book on phonetics, and it was a breakdown of accents and phonetics. It was one of those weird obsessions I had for a little while to understand something, and it was cool because it really understood better why certain people have accents and why they can't pronounce certain words, because their tongue almost becomes atrophied in a way that, atrophy's not the right word either. It's just hard for them to pronounce certain words that they never spoke the language of, so because that particular sound and utterance was not part of their language. So it also makes it a little bit more challenging to understand it because they don't hear it all the time. So and Japanese is a very different language than the way English is spoken. Different set of sounds, different set of phonetics. These are things that I find interesting, by the way. Let's see. Do I have any courses? I do not. I've thought about making courses, so a few people asked me about that. My friend wrote a book. Jay wrote a book recently, and we and him have been discussing the book writing process. Will WireGuard? Let's go to the source. Let's go to the source. We're gonna pull this up because I don't want to speak out of turn here. And let me get this pulled up. Where did it go? There we go. One second. Anyways, sorry. All right, now I can show this right here. I had a couple texts I had to close. This is the WireGuard feature request, and right here was 10 days ago. It's still being worked on and has been the whole time. There are ongoing stability issues that have yet to be fixed. So they're still actively working on it in the next generation of pfSense. This is right from the pfSense Redmine. It's issue number 8786, so you can find it. It's also posted over on Reddit r pfSense right here. And yes, absolutely, you can read about it here, and it's open develop. They're working on it. It's not there yet because pfSense cares greatly about doing it right, not doing it as an add-on in user space. They're doing it properly, implementing it. And by the way, they sponsored the project and paid for the code development of it in the BSD kernel. So they didn't pay for it not to end up in pfSense. So yes, it'll get there. It's not there today. It'll get there when it's right. And that's something I really appreciate. Because the people clamoring for, I want it now, are the same people go, it doesn't work right. When they release it, it doesn't work. And then they just go around trashing how it's all garbage and the world is, yeah. Anyways. Let's see, what do we have in here? Hopefully that answers the question about WireGuard. No, I haven't compared to thin patch cables. They all work fine. I should work on videos for IPv6. Yeah, this is the year of IPv6. I hear that all the time. I don't need to. IPv6 doesn't affect me. I don't use it. Nothing seems to work wonderful with it. Not the way it should. So yeah, I'm not. You won't see much. Someone already commented for me. You won't see much IPv6. OpenVPN is slow, but at least it's reasonably secure. It's not that slow. Thoughts on OpenSense? It's a fork of pfSense. I don't have any compelling use case for it. I am working on some videos. I got to dig and get some information out, but there's a crossover of people that work at the Netgate Foundation and IX Systems. Is it foundation or just company? Either way, there's people working at Netgate. There's people working at IX Systems that are both contributors to open source projects, specifically BSD, but there's other related ones as well. This is something that I want to do a video on, but it's not the easiest thing. I got to spend some time compiling information for it, 'cause it's not like this is just listed out somewhere for me. But I don't think people take into consideration how much that some of these projects are big code contributors. And then someone comes along and forks the project, and that may be fine. There may be a good reason to fork it. Are they also going to take the time to not build just a competing product, but also be upsourced contributors? This is where Citrix and XCP-ng. XCP-ng does a lot of upstream contributions to the core Zen server project. But does Citrix? Citrix is actually kind of just sat there selling a product, making money, but not doing a lot of upstream updates. Now, Citrix is actually benefiting from all the XCP-ng updates, but I can tell you, we take out a lot of Citrix and replace with XCP-ng because it's a drop-in replacement. And everyone really likes the XCP-ng product because, well, it works really well. So I think a lot about the companies, not just from what they do, but why they do it, and some of the, what they do with the money that they may make from that project, from whatever ways they monetize it, and does that contribute to the bigger ecosystem? And in open source, that matters a lot, because if no one's contributing to the upstream code base, that code base can die off a little bit or not get as good. Am I a Linux guy? I would say yes. Best way to do screen sharing? I don't know. I've never tried screen sharing and play with that in any way on Signal. I don't know. Oh yeah, the monoprice thin cables are actually what's right here. That's, don't focus. That's a monoprice thin cable. They're pretty cool. Citrix has pretty much abandoned Zen server. That's not exactly true. Citrix is still updating it. They're just losing clients really fast because you can get all the features that Citrix charges for free with the XCP-ng. So I think they're still updating it. They just made that license change that screwed their customer base and caused, XCP-ng to launch and become a very big company very quick. XCP-ng employs a lot of people. I think they got like 30 or 40 employees now. They're doing really well and growing fast. DAC or fiber for the win? Yeah, sure. All depends on the use case. WireGuard is awesome. Yeah, fair enough. I like WireGuard. It's not ready for mainstream. And I commented in my WireGuard video, I've talked about this before. One of the problems with WireGuard is it doesn't have all those extra add-ins that OpenVPN does to make it easy to install and configure users and things like that. It needs a lot more things to be added onto it. My favorite VoIP provider, I've done a video on it, VoIP MS. Love them. They're great. I am going to do a video on the worst job we've ever done. There's only been one that rakes there, and there's not even a runner-up for it. There's not even a job that even is in the same category as the worst job we've ever done. So, why pfSense SquidGuard doesn't block? Because pfSense and SquidGuard is not good. Don't use it. Thoughts on ExpressVPN? So here's my problem with any of the VPN providers. I should do a rant video on them. I don't usually do rant videos, but just my thoughts on VPN providers as a whole. No. Most VPN providers, I don't know that you can really trust any of them, despite all their claimings. And one of them there was a VPN provider a couple weeks ago taken down by law enforcement that also claimed to have no logs until they did, to bust everybody. I don't know any VPN provider that I would say I would put my absolute seal of approval. That being said, PIA works fine. People go, I hate PIA. Then don't use it. I have an affiliate link if you want to. If I don't see any reason not to trust them, and you can point out their parent company all you want, I don't care. Prove that those other companies that are even less transparent than PIA don't have the same parent company and just didn't tell you. You can't. That's the problem with VPNs. And I also think it's silly if, what's your goal? Are you sharing torrents and you don't want your service provider to see? Well, then use a VPN because that's a solution. Or are you just wanting to pay money because you're worried Comcast, if you have Comcast as your provider, gets to see what websites you go to? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to dedicate a video on the worst jobs. So, do a rant about VPN. BS all the VPNs on every YouTube channel. The reason VPNs are so popular are because they're easy things to sell. Because what do you need to have a VPN? You should be someone who has a computer. Okay, if you're watching a YouTube video, great. You probably have a computer or phone, and then you shell out VPNs and people buy subscriptions to them, and then they can easily do an affiliate link and offer code. So because it's an easy thing to sell and track and pay commissions on, the VPN providers reach out to me all the time about doing sponsored things. I've turned them all down. You've not seen me be sponsored by. I have an affiliate link that's different than being sponsored. So yeah, yes. I don't want them seeing my DNS or web traffic. Okay, you now pay someone else to collect your DNS and web traffic. How do you know that the VPN provider is not selling your web traffic? You just kicked the can down the road a hop. That's all you've done. So that is like, I don't know, less interesting to me of reason to do it, and it's a reason I'm not running one most of the time because I'm not worried about them knowing what websites I go to. Yeah. Because the VPN provider could be doing the same thing. Thoughts on containers or hypervisors? Future outlook bleak? No, not at all. I'm going to do a video on Docker, not a training, but a warning on security issues with Docker. DOH is not a bad thing. Don't get a self-hosted email server. I wouldn't help you on that. It's just a terrible idea and a headache. Self-hosting your email is a headache, sorry. VPN on untrusted Wi-Fi? That might make sense. You want to encrypt your traffic, but most of your traffic's encrypted anyways. But there is, unencrypted Wi-Fi, there's more potential for someone to be on that network. Not necessarily to... it's not as much getting your traffic because it requires them spoofing the DNS to really get your traffic. So and when it's an open network, there's more of a chance of that happening, potentially, depending on how the network's configured. And Google's collecting it when you use Chrome. That's the real thing. All the sites you're signed into is that. Security issues with Docker. Ooh, oh, yes. That is, Oh no, I'm buffering apparently. Am I still on? And back to normal. All right. Yeah, drop frames apparently. Cut it in and out a bit. Is it still cutting out? I still have an error on the screen. This is what it tells me. There's no good way. Don't use pfSense for blocking websites. That's my answer. There's no good way to do it. There's an ongoing discussion all over the pfSense forums and even in my forums about people trying to get that done. So the Docker thing, though, my problem with Docker and the issue is, I just run a Docker image. Do you know how any of that works? Who writes that Docker image? Some guy named John writes the Docker image and I pull it. Does John do a good job of keeping the security up to date? I don't know. I just hit Docker pull. Look, magic. And that drives me crazy because if you don't know where your Docker image came from, you don't know the maintainer, of that Docker image. You just pull Docker, and I see people do this all the time. It's like their go-to tech solution. So I don't mind. I like the fact that it makes it easy for people to start playing with and standing up technology. But there have been numerous reports where people took the time to audit Docker images, and the results are terrifying. These Docker images are full of old, unpatched software that was not well configured. So it's literally the next security nightmare of technicians that didn't want to take the time to learn because maybe they didn't have it. I'm not, just going to yell at them about it, but this is a challenge. They don't know how to do it. They're like, I don't know how to put all the software together, but Docker, oh, cool. Pull image. Great. It works. The person who maintained it. Also, the problem is when that person just stops maintaining it, there's no more Docker pull images, and now it's not maintained. You don't know how to set it up without Docker because you don't know how all the magic worked inside of it. Therefore, you just keep pulling these old images with insecure software and outdated versions of SQL servers and things like that. So that's my bigger problem with Docker is people don't stop and ask first the question, who maintains this Docker image? Are they doing a solid job of it? I think that question just doesn't come up. There's lots of YouTube videos out there, and they just kind of generically throw in, do a Docker pull. Just grab this Docker. This guy maintains it. It's great. But do we know anything about that person? So, yeah. The problem with it's just my bigger issue with Docker really is that. So, that's why I may do a video on it. Create a Docker image is easy. Read the Docker file. Yes. To do a lot of crap on Docker Hub. There's a lot of stuff on there. And no, that argument is not just with any piece of software. I mean, in the broad sense, sure, anyone can have a poorly maintained package. If someone says, try my firewall, and they just compile their own software, yeah. But if you look at an open source project, and I would bring this up in that video, and this is why I have to think about how I want to articulate this. You have to, because perfect example, someone created a password manager, I think it was like a year or two ago, and it was terrible. And the only thing it had on it was open source, but when someone looked at the code, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a terrible product. This was not coded properly. You have to look at the project all the time. You take pfSense. Very methodically well put together, secure coding. Awesome. You take a look at Bitwarden. They have a Docker image. Bitwarden supports that Docker image and keeps it all up to date. And it's all been very well vetted and put together properly. You take a lot of these other one-off projects that people start running on their networks, and yeah, Docker's a big supply chain attack problem because you don't know the person's intention. You just know they maintain a Docker image, and I've actually tried to find, I can't remember which one when I started digging into this a while ago. It was, I think, one of the UniFi ones. I couldn't really find much information on the person who maintains one of the more popular UniFi Docker images. I don't really know who the person is, but people really seem excited to keep the updates from Docker and just pull them onto their system. I'm like, it kind of matters who maintains that or doesn't, or if they decide to, cryptocurrency is trending right now. What if they add a crypto miner to all the Docker images? You wouldn't know, and they just send all the miners back out to there. All of a sudden, your server's got a high load on it, and you're scratching your head. But because you don't know any of the packages inside the Docker image, now what? Long-term review of Volta charging magnetic cable. I could probably, thank you for the donation, Mark. I should probably do an update on that. We use them. I think Kyle is still using it. I broke my phone with it. So I like it, but then I broke my phone. So good and bad. Overall, I do like them. I only use Docker maintained by the actual developer. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So there's no good open source alternative that is free for blocking websites. It's my favorite thing, and people ask me all the time. I recommend Untangle. They go, oh my God, it costs money. I'm like, I'm sorry. There's not a free firewall that does a good job. I said good job. Someone's going to point out one that works. Technically, pfSense works, but hats off to you if you want to put all the time in it. You either are going to pay with your time. You're going to become a Squid expert project person, or go into forum posts and spend all day trying to figure out how things are getting around all the blocking, which they do. Then you'll end up installing certificates on every device, which then becomes another piece of maintenance on there. Or you can just buy something like Untangle that does it. If you use free Wi-Fi, please use a VPN. Yeah. People don't know. Well, people are afraid to update things, so they are afraid to break. That's the argument earlier in this chat, was people telling me they don't like to have Linux on auto update because if it breaks, they don't know how to fix it. And this is how servers get pwned. I want something publicly accessible. I'm afraid after I spent hours and hours of setting it up that the update will break it, so I'm never updating it, and then they get pwned. So the story on that is not good. I don't know. I'm not I have Android phones. I like the Google Pixel, so I think it's a good phone. I'm not a authority on the best Android phone. Yes, SSL interception is what I meant by installing certificates to dive deeper into the filtering websites. Videos on the cables. Yeah, Kyle commented. Kyle still uses the Volt and still likes it. Good quality cables. We did have in the first generation, the little magnetic tips seem to get broken. The second generation, Kyle still has his, and it's been working really well. I switched to the fabric case, and when I moved to a fabric case, the bottom of my phone sticks out, and that's how I broke it, because if the phone lands at all this way, that little nub sticking out cracked my screen. It's one of the reasons I quit using it. But the Kyle using it still works. I'm just careless, I guess. The only proper way to filter internet is really any endpoint. Yes, that's true. I believe that. We use SolarWinds for filtering. That's absolutely true. I'm getting a little hoarse. I may have to stop talking soon. I've been doing this for how long? Oh, almost 2 hours. 2 hours is usually about how long I do these videos for. Yeah, Kyle doesn't drop his phone as much as I do. I have broke a few phones. I am careless. I want to make Tesla videos. I really love the new interface on my Tesla. Maybe I'll get around to making some videos. It's on my to-do list. Oh, a little horse, why the long face? Yes, thank you. Try to use serverless in cases where people don't want to update. Yeah, probably not a bad idea. Serverless is a buzzword that I know a lot of engineers dislike, but it is what it is. Serverless is kind of a neat concept because you're only exposing the application layer. WordPress might be a good example of this. Serverless WordPress. Well, it does run on a server somewhere. You are abstracted from all the details behind the scenes. You only have to maintain the WordPress without knowing the database it connects to or any of the underlying, web technologies under it. So it's a neat concept. My views on DNSSEC. It works. I think I've done a video on it. I believe I have. I mean, it works. So my views on it are use DNS security. So any way to add audio tracks in Kdenlive after creating a project? Yeah, you can just right click and is it right click or is it at project? We can learn this together. Open up my Kdenlive. Let's see. If I want to add a, I think add title clip, or is it down here? Oh yeah, insert track. There you go. Audio track or video track. And that's how you insert tracks in here. If you dig around, there's a subreddit for Kdenlive, and I've been doing that. I don't know Kdenlive. I know it well enough for the things I do, but people always ask me about the things they want to do in Kdenlive, and those are not always in alignment with the things I know how to do. Kdenlive is great for video editing. It's how I edit all my YouTube videos, but yeah, it's not the same as maybe you have some use case going, I want to be able to do these fancy features. Tom doesn't really use fancy features. It's a means to an end where I just want to use Kdenlive to get my videos published, so I don't spend a lot of time diving into some of the details and more nuanced features that it has. It has a lot of advanced features I don't use. Caden Live on a Raspberry Pi. Had no idea it worked on a Raspberry Pi. Seems like it'd be too slow for that. Oh, terms like serverless do work for people who don't understand the cloud stuff. You are right. Clean browsing, free DNS. People seem to like it. If it makes you happy, use it. People seem to. I've had people mention that they thought it was great. Cool, use it. I did my DNS evaluation video, which of course upset people because I never use enough DNS servers because there's so many companies out there offering that. So it's just one of those things. Like I can't review. I could review them all. I could make a hobby out of it, but I don't know how popular my channel would be if I spent that many hours reviewing 50 different DNS companies, and they're really, really hard to review. I covered all the challenges of exactly how I reviewed things and how challenging it is to review them in the video about my DNS. So watch my DNS videos. It's actually one of the more popular things in my forums, all the discussion. So it's great. Quad 9 is my go-to favorite DNS provider. But if you have one that's more favorite, more power to you. I'm not going to talk you off that edge. I prefer Quad 9. I like what they are, a nonprofit foundation. I did an interview with the people who run Quad 9. I think it's a great product. You can go ahead and disagree, and that's fine. You can. That's the great beauty of it. There's plenty of DNS providers for you to disagree with me about. I think PA is fine, and that's another thing that's not easy to review is any of the VPN providers. I always think it's funny because it's more like a clickbait to use our affiliate code. We reviewed the top 5 VPN providers. Okay, cool. DNS speeds can be very dependent on your providers and your ISP. That is correct. Yeah, Comcast DNS. There you go. Yes, Tom Scott did a video on VPNs. I think he's done 2 of them, but yes. I like Tom Scott. He's an interesting character. Oh, let's see. Works fine with proxy clips. Interesting. Yeah, host your own. Use Unbound. You can do that too. Oh, WoW DNS. Yes, WoW DNS is terrible. Cloudflare is really fast, and so is Quad 9. They really do rank up there both in speed because of the way they use points of presence. They're both pretty fast together. That's one thing consistent about both of those is you seem to get really solid DNS performance out of them. I mean, there's exceptions. Matter of fact, the people at Quad 9 were really trying to help one of my users out. Quad 9 was posting in my forums about this and trying to find the best point of presence for a I don't remember what country they're in now, but a user who was not in the United States was trying to find the best routes to it. So there sometimes are challenges when you're in an area where Quad 9 may not have a point of presence that's close to you. Quad 9 is absolutely because of the fundamentals of the way they work without a business model and on a donation system, much like Signal, like we talked about earlier, means they don't have a means by which to sell your data. They're a organization, a nonprofit organization. So their fundamental structure is not built to sell your data. Matter of fact, they don't have any way for you to create a username, password, or any way for you to try to aggregate data. They just don't allow it. And by not allowing it, where are they going to put it? What else do we have in here? Honestly, everyone in this comment section has literally come to country and hack everything. Hack the planet, man. That's the call to action, right? The whole the Hackers movie. I'm trying to remember the year. What year did it come out? That's been so long. Either way, classic. When did the movie Hackers come out? Now I'm off topic because I'm getting tired. Well, tired of talking, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really tired yet. Um, 1995, I was right. So here we go. It's a thriller crime drama from 1995. So it's great. It's got Penn Jillette in it too. In case anyone forgot, Penn Jillette was in Hackers. So was Angelina Jolie. RMRF the planet. There we go. Did it come out before or after my audience? Well, there's a whole nother. War Games. The Whopper. Yes. Shall we play a game? Swordfish. Yeah. I remember Swordfish. That was back before he was... that was an early career. What was that actor who played in Swordfish? Yeah, boy, it's been a while. Yeah, before he was Wolverine, he was there. Penn and Teller were in Babylon 5. We like trivia. Jason. So, we're going to have some laughs real quick here. Seeing I'm way off topic. I'm 2 hours in. So as soon as you brought up Babylon 5, Jason Carter was in Babylon 5. Jason Carter also used to work for me. He helped build my old office and was doing some computer tech work for me, which is so I can actually say I employed someone who was an action figure at one time. There's there's a action figure for this, and that just somehow really was amusing to me. Yes, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, but Jason Carter, I should probably pull up proof, right? Someone's like, I don't believe Jason Carter, who also played in Babylon 5, worked for Tom. Let me see if I can find the proof of it. I'll have to dig it up. Maybe I'll do something else about that. I'll have to find it. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, so. Yes, the actual Jason Carter worked for me for a while. Through the most serendipitous of circumstances, he ended up being an employee for about 6 months. Oh, he's very British. He is. I did not understand everything he said when I first hired him. He was just... Oh, yeah. I remember the Canadian show Sliders. I remember that. That was a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, Jason Carter is... he is theatrical and definitely a lot of fun. There's no more news about the Ubiquiti breach. Sorry. Let's see here. Somewhere there's going to be a picture. I'm going to find it now because now I'm... Where would that picture be if I was a picture of Tom and Jason Carter? I bet it would be in a folder because Jason was at one of my Christmas parties. So we could probably find that if we find the Christmas party. He used to come party with us too. There he is. Matter of fact, hold on, let me find... That's me and Jason Carter at my house at a Christmas party. So, I don't remember why I had goggles on. It's a long story. But, yeah, that's... Oh, okay, there we go. And yes, he's very, very British. So that is Jason Carter. He was always fun to hang out with. He was he's very eccentric. But definitely a just a fun person. Here's another picture of him. He's just a fun person to be around all the time. So, He's a great, have Jason at a party. If there's ever an opportunity in your life to have Jason Carter at your party. I don't know. I mean, it's been it's been 8 years ago that was a picture from. So, but yes. Oh, let's see here. No more news on Ubiquiti. I think I said that. Mo and Xavier, one day we're working on it. I don't know when it's going to happen. Goggles on. Seems like a good party. We'll go with yes. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird trivia. Another interesting piece of trivia is, and it's kind of related to Jason Carter in a other serendipitous way because it's the same point of contact where I met Jason Carter, is I used to host the backup servers, the backup mail servers for Gene Roddenberry's son, the creator of Star Trek. So I used to host his mail servers back in circa 2009 or 10. Yeah. So I should just make a list of all the weird intersections I've had in my life related to technology and the strangeness that has come from it. So, yeah, eccentric Brits, never. I know. Yeah, there's a, I don't know. It's just fun, all the things that happen through serendipity, people I've got to meet and projects I've got to work on and everything else. It's definitely a lot of fun. But the fun for today will have to carry on to another day because I have to end this. So I'll give a couple more minutes. Is there any final questions for the good of the class before I wander off and go do something else? Specifically, go home. I'm kind of tired. I've been here since before 7 a.m., so now I kind of don't want to be here now. I want to go watch YouTube or something. Or I'll probably just sit and read. I just don't, my voice is finally getting hoarse. I can feel it. And then I'll end up with a hoarse voice and can't do videos tomorrow. We don't want that. Vim that like button. Definitely. Reader Pro, Reader Lite, and a UniFi Access Hub. Would you use a Cisco PoE to power a UBNT switch? I didn't try much on the power. I might do another follow-up review on the Cisco. They're pretty neat. Oh, I love the Expanse. Big fan of the Expanse. So, Rod Roddenberry bought you a coffee. That's awesome. I didn't, the hosting was my tech friend who was the IT guy for Rod Roddenberry for a while. That's how I ended up hosting servers. He needed somewhere else to host them, and at the time I had space to do it because I was doing that stuff forever ago. I thought Star Trek Discovery had, well, the last show's today. So today is the season finale of Discovery, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what time that comes on, though. I don't know. I'll find it. I want to watch it. It's probably released. I don't plan to do videos on Proxmox. Jason from Learn Linux TV, Jay, not really Jason, Jay from Learn Linux TV has got Proxmox videos. He's better at it than me. He uses it more than me, so I don't really plan on doing videos on it because I just don't use it. Have you seen the Pi KVM? I seen it. Craft Computing did a video on it. Europe will probably have to wait till tomorrow. I've seen some businesses use Proxmox, but more of them we've seen use XCP-NG. I don't really use a Pi KVM because of the reason that Dunkel mentioned of the using all my stuff as IPMI. Everything over here is IPMI. Everything in the back in my rack is IPMI, so I don't really use it. Yes, Techno Tim has some videos on Proxmox as well. No, I don't care much for all the VPNs that are advertised on YouTube. That's one of the reasons I don't advertise for VPNs on YouTube. You've noticed my channel may be missing a few things, such as VPN advertising from YouTube. No, Last of Discovery. They left us on a cliffhanger. I thought they had one more episode that comes out today. I might be wrong, but I feel as though that's the last one is today, Thursday. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not an official on such things. Is TrueNAS suitable for home use? I would say yes. I use it in my home. Lots of people do. Last one was last week? Really? We didn't get any further? They're trying to do the deal, the thing, and then we don't get to learn more? Disappoint. I like Synology. I've done videos on Synology. Never use MikroTik access points. Let's see. Season 4 in production. Okay. Yeah, cliffhangers, they are what they are. It's the way to get you to watch the next season. Such is life. But with that, I'm going to wander off. I'm watching all of you wander off. Hopefully you hit the like button before you wandered off. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming here. It's time to wander off myself. Thanks.